All right, let's be real for a second. The crypto world, it feels like pure chaos, right? You've got insane volatility, billion-dollar hacks, entire protocols just collapsing overnight. It seems like everything is always just one step away from breaking. And all that stress, it shines a massive spotlight on a critical weakness, fragility. But what if I told you that for some systems, all that chaos isn't a threat? What if it's actually the food that makes them stronger?
This is the wild idea that's at the heart of everything we're talking about today, and it comes from the mind of Nassim Nicholas Taleb. He argues that the real opposite of fragile isn't something that just toughs it out, something robust. No, it's something that actively feeds on stress. He calls this concept anti-fragility, and honestly, it might be the single most important lens we have for understanding the future of crypto.
So here's the game plan. First step, we're going to nail down exactly what anti-fragility is. Then we'll look at Bitcoin as the OG case study. After that, we're diving headfirst into the fragile heart of DeFi to see where the real dangers are hiding. Then we'll build a practical framework so you can spot anti-fragility in the wild. And finally, we'll see how this completely flips the script on how we should think about investing.
Okay, let's get right into it. What is anti-fragility really? Because this is the crucial part. It's not just about being strong or tough, it is something else entirely.
So Taleb breaks this down into what he calls the triad of risk. On the one hand, you have the fragile. That's a teacup. You drop it, you apply stress, and it shatters. Simple. In the middle, you've got the robust. Think of a rock. You can hit it, you can kick it, it resists the stress, it endures, but it doesn't fundamentally change. It's just there. But over on the right, that's where the magic is. The anti-fragile. That's like our immune system. When it gets hit by a virus, it doesn't just recover, it learns, it adapts, and it actually becomes stronger than it was before the attack.
Okay, so here's the textbook definition. Anti-fragility is a property of systems that increase in capability because of all that messy, chaotic stuff we see in crypto every single day. The shocks, the attacks, the failures. It doesn't just bounce back, it bounces forward. The stress itself is what fuels the improvement.
And this immune system analogy is just perfect. Think about it. When a new virus hits your body, your innate immunity kicks in with a fast, general defense. But then, your adaptive immunity gets to work. It develops a super-specific response, and this is the key, it builds a memory. The next time that same virus dares to show up, your body just crushes it. You didn't just survive the first attack, you literally leveled up because of it. That is pure anti-fragility.
So, let's take this concept and apply it to our first major case study, Bitcoin. You could say it's the original anti-fragile experiment in this whole crypto world, an asset literally forged in a constant fire of attacks. And this quote from Decrypt just nails it. For more than a decade, every shock, every country trying to ban it, every single Bitcoin is dead article has, weirdly enough, only made the network more powerful.
So, what kind of stressors are we talking about here? Well, just look at this list. The fact that there's no central boss forced it to become radically decentralized. The constant criticism from politicians and banks, that forced its community to sharpen its arguments and defend its principles. The endless technical attacks, they led to stronger, more robust code. That insane price volatility, it shook out all the tourists and left a hardcore base of believers. And the competition from thousands of so-called Bitcoin killers, it's only made Bitcoin's brand and network effect that much stronger. Every attack was basically a workout that built more muscle.
But okay, if Bitcoin is the poster child for anti-fragility, what about, well, everything else? Let's turn our attention to DeFi, decentralized finance, because this is where the incredible promise of a resilient new financial system smacks right into some very harsh and very fragile realities.
And this is what we can call the DeFi paradox. The whole point, the entire goal, is to build something better, more open, and more robust than traditional finance. But the sheer complexity, the breakneck speed of innovation, and how interconnected everything is, it often creates these hidden points of failure that can lead to, well, catastrophic collapses. Understanding where things are fragile is the first step to finding what's truly anti-fragile.
So where is all of this fragility hiding? Well, a lot of the time it's in the code itself, that's smart contract risk. Or it's in the data that a protocol relies on, we call that oracle risk. And bridge risk? Oh man, that's a huge one. These bridges between blockchains are like giant glowing honeypots just waiting for hackers. Then you've got malicious governance takeovers, crazy liquidation spirals from too much leverage, the list goes on. Each one of these is like a ticking time bomb if the protocol isn't built to withstand the pressure. Okay, that was a lot of doom and gloom, I know. But now for the good part. How can we as users, as investors, learn to spot the difference between the house of cards
and the fortress. It's time to build a toolkit.
This framework here is a fantastic mental model. Think of it like a pyramid. Down at the base, you have the individual level. We're talking about the developers, the community, the people. One level up, you have the structural level. That's the protocol's design, its code, its processes. And then at the very top, anti-fragility becomes this natural, emergent property of the whole system. Something that just happens because it's so well designed.
And we can break this down into 4 specific types. First, there's innate antifragility. That's the immediate, all-hands-on-deck response when something goes wrong. Then you have adaptive antifragility. This is the targeted fix that learns from the mistake so it never happens again, just like our immune system creating a memory. This leads to rheopectic antifragility. And I know it's a fancy term, but it's a simple idea. The system gets stronger under pressure, forcing it to create better, tougher processes. And when all of that is working in harmony, you get emergent antifragility. That's the holy grail, where the system is so well built that it just naturally thrives on chaos.
So how do we actually find these traits in a real project? Well, here's a practical checklist of questions you should be asking. Is it actually decentralized, or is there one person or group that can shut it all down? How does it get its data? Is it relying on a single oracle that can be manipulated? Has it been through public security audits, or are you just trusting the code? Do the founders have skin in the game, meaning do they lose if you lose? And maybe most important of all, does it learn from its mistakes? A project that publicly documents its failures is one that's actively trying to get stronger.
All right, let's bring this all home. Let's look at all this through a powerful new lens for investing. Because this isn't just some abstract theory. It has very real, very practical implications for how you should be thinking about your strategy.
So, this is the big question, right? How does this idea actually change our approach? In a market that's defined by complete unpredictability and chaos, what's the right move?
And here is the absolute crucial mindset shift. You stop trying to predict the future. You just stop. You have to accept that the world is fundamentally, deeply unpredictable. So the goal is no longer to be right about what's going to happen next. The goal is to build a portfolio, a system of your own, that actually benefits from surprises, that has way more upside than downside when random things happen.
So let's recap the big takeaways here. Number 1, anti-fragility is not about surviving shocks, it's about benefiting from them. 2, look for systems that have been battle-tested. The longer something has survived real-world chaos, the stronger it's likely to be. 3, get good at spotting the red flags of fragility in DeFi, like hidden centralization or too much leverage. And 4, use this framework to judge a project by its design and its resilience, not just its hype or its potential returns.
And that leaves us with one final thought to chew on. As the world gets faster, more connected, and more chaotic, is it possible that anti-fragility will go from being a nice-to-have to being the only trait that really matters for long-term survival and success? Something to think about.